Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Sidoti's Virtual Investor Conference. I can see the room looks like it's still filling in a little bit, so I'll give it a little bit. But I'm Steve Farazani, an analyst at Sidoti. I'm so pleased to be able to be joined this afternoon by Walker Lane Resources President and CEO Kevin Brewer. We're expecting to have a few minutes after the presentation for Q&A, so I'd like to remind everyone, if you do have questions, you just press that Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, type in the questions, and we'll get to as many as we can, time permitting. I don't want to take up much more time. Leave it all to Kevin. So pleased to welcome Kevin Brewer, Walker Lane Resources. Kevin, all yours.
Thank you, Steve. Do I wait a little bit more or?
Nope, you're all set. You're ready to go.
All right. Very good. Nice to meet everybody today. Thank you very much. I've been a geologist for about 35 years at this point, and I'm going to go through a little presentation about Walker Lane Resources, a pretty new company. I'm going to make some forward-looking statements today. Walker Lane Resources is a gold and silver explorer focused in implementing year-round exploration on high-grade assets in mine-friendly jurisdictions. We're in Nevada and British Columbia, both very well ranked in terms of their attractiveness for exploration investment. They're good places to work in. Our objectives are attainable. We aim to discover deposits, expand the resources, and then sell them. We are not a miner. We are an explorer. But we want to sell them at their peak value in the exploration stage. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that in a minute. And we also generate revenue streams in our company through property options, asset sales, and we also hope to develop small-scale mining projects. Generating shareholder value is our focus. Now, we all know exploration is risky. So we have worked very hard to mitigate a lot of risks. And so we have a risk management approach that we've done it. But the one thing that we've worked on really is to select high quality gold and silver prospects with potential for high grades, because in our industry, grade is king. So to increase our chances for discovery success, we will utilize the latest in technology, and we have a great team, a very highly experienced management team, guided by our board and advisory groups, and we're very prudent about our financial spending. We have a tight corporate structure as well, and all of this serves to mitigate the risks in the exploration. We're a little bit different. We are not your standard exploration company. In the last couple of years, we had a mill in Bishop, California, which we sold to a company called North Bay Resources. And we've accumulated 1.1 billion shares of NBRI as a result, and a regular stream of payments. We also optioned a project called Silver Knife in northern BC to Kerr Mining. Now, Kerr is a major miner in the United States. They actually operate one of the biggest silver mines in a place called Rochester. And that deal was worth in excess of $6 million in cash and exploration expenditures. So they will explore on our Silver Knife property and earn themselves a 75% right to that property. And then we're looking at utilizing some ore sorting technologies on one of our projects to see if we can advance small scale mine developments. So we're not your standard company. Now, the thing is where are the best returns? And we understand that in the industry that you look at a project like this, and this curve was developed by a guy called Pierre Lassonde. And Pierre Lassonde is a billionaire entrepreneur now who developed this. And what it says really is, in the growth stage in the exploration life cycle, you can generate massive returns from projects that succeed. We are hopeful that two of our projects, Tule Canyon and Amy, will be successful and drive us up that growth curve to generate value. And at the top of the curve, you tend to get more involved in the economics of the projects and looking at how you do mining and engineering, and the value starts to drop off for a while. So when I said we want to sell at the peak, we want to sell at the top of that curve. But we've also got those pipeline projects that also come up through, and some of those will make it into that growth stage and replace and also supplement the projects we also have. So we're in the gold and silver. I think the reasons for that are fairly obvious these days. Gold is performing extremely well, has always performed well, but silver is needed in things like, the low carbon economy with solar panels. Is one of the best electrical conductors in the world. And it's really, there's a supply deficit going on there. So there we go. And we're into Nevada and BC. I said it's one of the most friendly jurisdictions you can work in. The politicians in Nevada are behind you. You got the governors, you got the congressmen, you got the senators. Everybody is working hard. It's always been a good place to operate in, but it's gotten even better with some of their recent decisions. Now, in Nevada, what you had two parallel belts. You had this Carlin Belt, which has been the focus of exploration and development, mainly because it had monster-sized gold deposits, low grade, but these things operate at huge tonnages, like 100,000 tons a day or more. And that was the focus of exploration. So the Walker Lane area kind of got ignored. It was always an area of historic production, like things like Comstock, where you had 8 million ounces of gold and 200 million ounces of silver mined out of that area, but really hasn't had a lot of exploration in recent times. And what you find is excellent geology, lots of old workings, lots of small old mines, and yet some very significant recent discoveries like North Bullfrog, 8.4 million ounces of gold. It was one of the largest largest gold deposits found in the U.S. in the last decade. So it's a very good area. Now, Tule Canyon, when we get there, it's got two old mines on the project, and East Side and Dark Secret. And we took these projects from a friend of mine called Mike Power. And I went to Mike looking for properties in Nevada. He's been down there for about 15 years. And what he does is he finds properties, he does a bit of work on them, he packages them up, he sells them to somebody like myself. I then take the projects, I do the drilling, I try to find a discovery. And then when I find a discovery, I'll expand it, and then I'll sell it to somebody who's going to make a mine out of it. So that's my job at the end of the day. And so here in Tule Canyon, we have the mines, the Dark Secret and East Side. We know that there's the right geophysics in this area. Mike has done some geophysics there. The signals that the deposits should go below where they were mined before. They were only mined at shallow depths, I think like 75 meters or so. And so there's a lot of potential for under these mines and along the strike. But you got a 5-kilometer corridor, a structural corridor, and you can see all these red and pink dots. That's over 10 grams a ton gold. Very rich showings and old workings and things like that. You also have silver in this area. So also everything on the west side also has high grade silver. These are all like greater than 100 grams a ton silver associated with them. Not so much silver around the old mines, and then some more in the east, which is kind of a curiosity to us. But the silver grades alone would be mineable. And you can see all the old workings that are associated with this project. So this is a drill-ready project. We're very excited about it. We want to drill it in the fall. It's a little bit too hot there in the summertime. So this is a fall project for us. Now, another target is Amy. This is in northern British Columbia, and it's near a mine called Silvertip. And these type of deposits, Silvertip is owned by Kerr Mining. Excuse me. And they believe they've got a huge area of land around us. We're like the little piece of we're like the middle of the donut. And they believe that all of these type of deposits, they're called carbonate replacement deposits, they form in clusters. So you find them in Idaho, you find them in Mexico, and there's been very little exploration, only focused really on this one deposit. So they believe that there's more. Now you find silver, lead, zinc, and you find critical minerals such as gallium and antimony. Now we know that there's antimony at Amy, but in gallium was found in Silvertip, so we might find gallium in the long run. Here's a picture of Amy. It was worked in the 1960s and 70s. It had two adits in this area here. This is a picture of one of them. And there's a bunch of veins that go all across this. These are all old trenches, and from the ones that have remained open, we can trace the veins for 2.7 kilometers in this area. It's very high grade. So we know that from the old reports, they found them in the adits. They found these veins. So we know that they're also at depth. So what we're going to do is re-drill those areas between the two adits, and this is the kind of material we're chasing. It's very high grade stuff. Silver in the range of a couple thousand grams a ton, lead anywhere from 10 to 20%, zinc in the 5 to 7% range. Very high grades. I mean, that's like almost 100 ounces of silver a grade. So very exciting, very high grade projects. So we're back to this. So we covered the two projects in very briefly, and I could speak to you for an hour on both of them, but we don't have the time today. But if anybody wants to find out more, they can follow up with me after. I just want to talk a little bit about the pipeline projects because they're also very important for a company like ours. So here's another project in the Walker Lane area. There's been a bit of sampling there, 68 samples. 28 of them turned out to be greater than 5 grams per ton gold, which is sort of a high average grade for a gold mine. And there's also good results from trenches in this. It needs to be followed up with a bit of work to see if it merits the drill program, but it's an exciting project. Here's another one we picked up. It's so close to Tule Canyon, we couldn't resist picking it up. It's got a couple of old showings on it, got some old workings again over a 400-meter area, and an old mine, both with high-grade silver and a little bit of copper kicking around on that one. Very road accessible, so we're excited about this project. We think it might make become a drill target in the future. And then we've got one in Yukon. This is a potentially in a big mineralizing system. We know that from a major deposit that's deeper in the system, close by to this. So this has potential to be a very large system, high grades again. You know, you're talking 7.5 grams per ton gold, greater than 1,000 grams per ton silver, with some zinc and lead kicking around. A couple of old adits, mineralization in the adits, no drilling in this area at all. So a very prospectful deposit that we want to look at. And finally, this used to be the flagship property. It's no longer the flagship property. We've drilled it off. What we have is we have 4 to 5 small scale open pits that potential for open pits. And what we want to do there is we want to upgrade the material. So we're going to look at ore sorting because we just don't have a big enough deposit there to support a mill. but we might be able to use Kerr's mill, which is 100 kilometers away. So you would use an ore sorter to upgrade that material going into the trucks. It would be low cost. Now, everybody says, well, what about your team? And so our chairman, he's very used to building resource companies. He's been in the oil and gas sector mostly. He runs a family trust, and he's also got his own exploration drill, and that's how we met him. We actually contracted his drilling company to do some drilling for us a couple of years ago. And then I had Doug Coleman. He's a geologist, 40 years of experience in Mexico and southern United States, got his degree in Texas. And we got Jose, who's a mining lawyer and an accountant. So that rounds off the board. We've got a great team. We got a really good geologist, good paralegal and accounting team, which is critical in these days. And then on top of that, we have an advisory board of 2 companies with very great depths in geology and geophysicists. So over 500 years of experience between these 2 companies. We work with them together on numerous projects. It's important to have backups like this, because if you come across something you don't quite understand, you can parachute in their experts to help you and figure it out. So at the end of the day, we've also got great venture capital experience. Fred has been in the business for 40 years in the Toronto market, and Robert is big into AI and social media. So we have a prudent financial approach. Our approach is to maximize money into the ground. We don't have expensive offices. We have a 1-room office in Vancouver. We operate virtually. We have some of the lowest general administrative costs in the business, and we put the money into the ground. I go out to all my sites. I know every inch of my sites, and I'm the largest single investor in this company. So I watch my own money, and I will watch yours. We have a very tight structure. We have 16.4 million shares outstanding, fully diluted 18.7, and we're very well suited to raise some money. We're looking to raise, do a total raise right now in the 1.5 million range. It will be soon announced in the market. And so I'm just putting up a scenario here. I don't know if it's going to be exactly those numbers or not at this stage, but we will probably have an announcement out next week. We're going to use those funds to drill Amy, do the initial drilling at Amy, look at a couple of the other projects in Yukon, and do a little bit of initial work in Nevada. And then our aim would be to have some positive results come out of Amy, bolster the share price, and then do a subsequent raise for Nevada for the fall drilling. So our key catalysts: complete the financing for the drill program at Amy, secure a drill permit, which is well underway, and implement the drill program in late summer, complete data compilation for the Tule and the other projects in Nevada, drill Tule in late this year or early 2026, and initiate some of the exploration on some of the pipeline projects. So the key takeaways are this: we're a company that have done careful project selection in mine-supported jurisdictions. We select projects with extensive exploration history, high grades of gold and silver or other metals, and we have drill-ready projects. They're in established mining districts. We have a year-round ability to work, which is going to give us all news flow, and we have a strategic approach with financial prudency, backed up with a very experienced advisory team and an exploration team in our board. I want to thank everyone for today, and if you have any questions, I welcome them. And if you think of anything afterwards, please feel free to check out our website. It's walkerlaneresources.com, and send me a question anytime, and I can get on the phone, or we can have another Zoom meeting to discuss specific elements you would like to know more about. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Kevin. Really informative presentation. I think you're going to be getting a lot more questions over the next couple of weeks. And we got several already today. We do have a few minutes remaining. So just a reminder, even though we have some questions in the queue, if you have anything additional, press that Q&A button, type it in, and we'll get to as many as we can. One question we got, Kevin, and this is probably looking a little further in the future than maybe maybe you are thinking about it. But how far along do you need to be before you start thinking about selling assets? And how do we think about, as an investor, thinking about what you need to show that a larger miner would get interested in it? And how do the terms tend to work? I know it's a complicated question. If you can sort of simplify
Well,
it for me.
yes and no. Let's take Amy, for example. We when Silverknife when Kerr optioned the Silverknife property from us, they negotiated a first right of refusal to buy Amy. They're very interested in Amy. It's only 8 kilometers from their mill, the site, and it's an obvious ore feed source for them when they build their final mill. They're going to have a fairly high rate mill, so they're going to need ore feed. And what we hope to do is we hope to drill that thing probably for 3, maybe 4 years, develop a substantial resource. And at that stage, projects like that, they can be sold for a couple $100 million. They can be sold for $500,000. They might even go for more. It depends on how much you found, the grades you
Right.
found, how easy it is to mine it, and a whole bunch of other factors. But I mean, that's basically, at that stage of the game, to a
Yep.
company like ours, we're getting an excellent return on our investment for
Right.
what we put into the drilling. So say we put 25 million or 50 million in the drilling a thing, and we're going to sell it for 200 to 500 million. It's obvious
Yeah. Nice return. Yeah.
what the situation is.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
I mean, those are the type of examples and what we're trying to do with each one of our projects, and they're not all going to make it. Let's be real. I mean, but out of that, the key is to have a good basket of properties where you maximize your probability for success at the end of the day and have a discovery. So
Yep.
we're seeking a discovery. We think we have the properties to do it. And we think if those fail, we have some backups in the situation as well.
Excellent. When we think about the stock price, should your stock be reflecting the much higher levels of gold, particularly in silver prices, or will it reflect it more as you start proving the resources?
Uh, to be honest with you, when we were consolidating from CMC Metals, we were at 1/10 of our valuation,
Yeah.
and we hadn't even bought the Nevada properties in. I mean, this last couple of years has been really tough on small cap junior miners. Let's
Okay.
face it, it's been
Yeah.
a tough. I mean, for those who had a resource and were drilling it off, it wasn't a problem. They could raise money.
Right.
All that money is being directed, and now those companies are worth 100 million, 200 million on the market cap. So that's where we're aiming to go. But
Okay.
it has been tough. I don't say, but the gold price and the silver price and the market sentiment and how much money is being generated in the sector right now is starting to drift down into companies like ours and giving us the shot to say, yeah, go drill, get some exploration success, grow your
Yep.
value.
Excellent. Looking at some of the questions, I think a lot of people really want to meet this guy, Mike. One question is referring to what kind of agreement you have in place with Mike.
Okay, so all those agreements are online, and that we generated something that was fair to both teams.
Okay.
We're friends, we know each other, and so there are deals that we have to give them so much over 4 years. Every deal is a little bit different. Thule came to us a little bit more expensive than Cambridge. Cambridge came to us a little bit more expensive than Silver Mountain. But they're all reasonable terms, and so we got various cash payments we have to make at the end of the day, and some of those payments can be also made in shares. So
Okay.
we've structured a fair deal. I don't overspend. I looked at Nevada 3 years ago. It was all too expensive. But Mike didn't have a good portfolio at that time to offer me.
Okay.
I went back to Mike, and he's done a lot of work over the last 3 or 4 years to generate a good range of properties that came to us at a reasonable price. So there we go.
Excellent. Excellent. Appreciate that color. Um, when we think about the timing of some of these projects, are you trying to line them up? It sounds like one at a time. You'll do Amy. Do you then bring that same drilling crew over to do Tule Canyon? Is that how it works? Or can you be working on multiple projects at once, given your size?
You could end up working on multiple projects. You could end up drilling off Thule and Amy at the same time, for example. Amy is one of those things. It's in northern BC, but it's in a project. It's in an area where in the old days they actually did drill year round there. Um, albeit it's a bit cold. I mean, it can get -40, -50 up there.
I wouldn't
So
want to be drilling.
really, really chilly. Which is, and we care about our people.
I'm sure.
So, what we envisioned was we would get into early winter conditions and pull out.
Yep.
And then, we're probably going to use John Land's drill for Amy. But whether he will, whether a Canadian drilling company will work in the U.S., it'd probably make more sense to hire one of the
Yep.
Nevada drillers and use the local resources there. Because the one thing we also try to do in all of our projects is maximize the benefits to the local communities and the local suppliers around us. So we'll always seek out those opportunities, and guess what? It always works in your favor anyway, because they know what they're doing, they
Yep.
know how to work in their own backyard, and it always saves you money. So that's the way I like to operate.
Excellent. Okay. And then do you have so you have multiple projects. Is there a favorite, or would you not want to declare which one you like the most? Or what it seems like Amy and Tule Canyon are further along anyway. Is that
Well,
accurate
right
or
now,
not?
to be honest with you, I haven't visited the Nevada properties yet because
Okay.
we've acquired them, and now we're into financing, and then
Yep.
I'll eventually get to go down and have a look at them. Uh,
Okay.
but right now, my favorite would have to be Amy,
Okay.
simply because I know the mineralization is at surface. I know that the curve had great success in the same rocks, in the same geology, and they're very excited about it. And we also know that the documentation on the historic is good. We've done a lot of compilation of data. We had over 300,000 geochem samples in the old
Wow.
database. I mean,
Okay.
there was a ton of exploration history that came along this. What happened was back in the 70s, the silver price dropped off. So exploration kind of stopped for silver, and everybody just forgot about it, you
Right.
know? And
Yeah.
so you pick up these projects like this that really they've been sitting dormant for like 30 years, and they got great potential.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Covered a lot of ground, Kevin, in the last half hour. Before we wrap it up, any closing thoughts for anyone?
Well, I'm a straightforward kind of guy, so I think people know that I'm accountable and I'm honest. And if you have any questions, please just contact me. Let's have a good chat about it. I mean, I can tell you a lot more about the projects than I talked to
Yeah,
today,
half hour is
obviously.
not enough
But
time, I know.
but there we go. I mean, I could spend a half an hour on Amy and I still wouldn't be finished. But there we go. We got presentations on these as well, separate presentations. So if you want to know all about the technical details, we can get into that. But other than that, I think that we got a really good shot at this. I think we got some really good properties. I think we're in the right time. I mean, gold and silver are hot right now, and they will continue to be hot. And we're in a very good time for investors going into these projects that we're the next generation. I call our company a next generation company. There's been a bunch of companies that have done well, and we're the next generation to do well as well. So
Excellent.
I think if you invest in us, you'll get a good return.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Kevin Brewer, President and CEO of Walker Lane Resources. As he said, feel free to reach out to him with questions. You can also send them here to Sidoti, and we'll certainly forward it along. Kevin, thanks so much for being here today. Hope everyone enjoyed the presentation.